Hi folks, and welcome back to Kerno EXP. Now this evening we go for a fly around Killifreth engine house, but we take off from Unity Wood mine. So we're now going up, and we're now heading across the fields that annually they're used for the Henry Matthews and Friends rally, folks, where they take vintage cars, bicycles, motorcycles, traction engines, stationary engines. It's most enjoyable. Obviously this year it's not happened because of you know what. So we're now heading towards Hawk's engine house, which is Killifreth mine. Now this engine house is quite unique. We'll get a bit closer, folks. Buzzing over. Heading towards, we can see the chimney. Now, this chimney is the tallest chimney in Cornwall, which was connected to an engine house. Now, this engine house was a pumping engine house, and it pumped at quite a few fathoms, which is obviously a nautical term, but it's also a Cornish mining term. The pump rods and the rising main are actually still in the shaft today. A group that I follow, Cornish explorers. They've been in there. I'm not going to tell you how they got in there, because we don't want anybody without experience getting in there, folks. But it's not, the entrance to it is not nowhere near the engine house anyway, today that is. Now my own father was part of a group that stabilised the engine house back in the early 1990s. And yeah, he said to me that there was quite a few bits and pieces that they found which should have been in a museum, really. I don't know what happened to them, but anyway, let's get back to the engine house. So on the side of the engine house there was a boiler house, and there was, I think it was 5 Lancashire boilers there. The reason the chimney is the highest is because the chimney was heightened to basically feed the boilers. Basically, when you create a chimney, it creates a draft that causes drafts on your fire or your boiler, and therefore you can create more steam. Now here we are looking down, folks. There was a table there a few years ago. It seems to have gone away now, but yeah, you can see the bob wall there. That's quite interesting. And there's Unity Wood Mine in the distance, where I took off from. So we're heading back up. The path there goes down into the woods. The woods is actually called Unity Wood, hence the name of the engine houses. The reason I know all this, folks, is because I've got family connections to this area. My grandparents and my great-grandparents lived in the valley just down below us there, in the middle on the left. And my own granddad used to talk to an old lady, and she said that, remember, these 2 engine houses actually working. So the small one is a whim. Whim means winding engine, and the large engine is a pumping engine for raising the water out of the ground. Now here in Cornwall, folks, the water table is very high indeed, so the pump was the most important engine of all, because if that stopped, then the miners would be endangered, and of course they wouldn't be able to work because of the water. So now we're looking past the engine houses. That is Poldice Arsenic Refinery, and that was connected to, I forget the name of the engine house now, but there's an engine house farther back towards the village of St Day, and there was a series of buckets which ran on an overhead ropeway, like a ski lift, folks. And there's still bits and pieces of it still left in the valley, which is crazy when you think about it. So we are looking at Unity Wood Mine again, typical Cornish cottages in the foreground there. And now we head across the field and towards the little hamlet of Todpool. Now Todpool, as I said, is basically where my family come from. So we're heading over now. Now, I haven't been able to fly for a couple of days, folks, because of the wind. It was just too windy. Now, we're below 150 meters, by the way. We're sticking by the rules and regulations of the drone code. I've done a test on it, folks, so I know what I'm doing now, which is fantastic. I'm more on it. I'm on the pulse. There we go. That valley there is Todpole. Now, during the war, folks, World War II, the Americans were based over there, and my gran used to go up and down to the village of St Day, or it was a town originally, but it's now a village. And she remembered the soldiers like blowing whistles at her and stuff like that. She told me that. So now this is Todpole below us now. Now that valley goes all the way down. It's called the Carnan Valley, folks. It goes all the way down to a little village called Deveron. And Deveron's got a small quay, and at one stage there used to be big ships used to come in there laden with coal, and they used to export copper, tin, and all from all the mines in the area, folks. There we go, looking back at Unity Wood Mine, the Whim and the Pump. Flying back over the fields. We're not flying over people's property, folks. It might look like we are, but we're not. I assure you we're not. So there we go. There's the two engine houses. And on this side of the pump, there's quite a bit of iron pieces still in situ, which is amazing, to be fair. So now we're flying towards the Henry Matthews and Friends, basically rally field. That woods on the left there is Unity Wood Mine, or the woods, that is. And my gran and granddad used to collect deadfall from in there years ago for their Cornish range. Cornish range is a fireplace that you would have cooked your food on, folks. There's been a lot of logging gone in there recently. I don't know who owns that. It might be somebody I know, but I'm not really sure on that one. Lovely and green the fields are right now, aren't they? Right, so that's looking back at Killifreth. And that is the Hawks pumping engine. That's its official name, folks. We can see the chimney. It's unique. That hill in the distance there is St Agnes Beacon. We flew up there already. Hope you guys have seen that video. It's very interesting. That's when I was learning, folks. A little bit rusty around the edges, but I've mastered it now. There we go. That's the engine house. And now we go towards the I think that's the Stamps engine house. Now this engine house has been restored, folks. I think I know the guy who's done it, so I might have to get in contact and have a chat with him and see if we can have a look around. So this is part of Killifreth mine site again. Now in the valley there in the distance, that's Wheel Busy, folks, and that valley has been cleaned up. It was in a bit of a state a few years ago. This engine house here in the foreground, or the chimney there, that was partly dismantled or demolished. Not really sure what the story is on that one, I'm afraid. Going across the fields again. You notice that we're keeping away from people, folks. That is part of the regulations to do with the drones. And I'm keeping below a certain height, which is 150 meters. Otherwise, you know, you're pushing your limit kind of thing. And I'm not going to push my limit with this drone. It's basically just to document stuff and enjoy, folks. So we're looking back at Unity Wood Mine again. And up on the top right-hand corner is the village of St Day. St Day was the richest mile in Cornwall at one time for mining. and they say it's hollow because of all the adits and shafts, which is so true, because when I was a child I actually remember having Telegraph Hill completely closed because of the mine. Right, so there we are, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll be back again in the next couple of days. Take it easy and cheers and gone.